America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only America.
Only in America.
This week, we're going to take a virtual road trip to Ithaca, New York. It's cold there, so bring some mittens, even though, you're listening to a podcast. But in any case, listen in. We're going to spend some time learning from an incredible community initiative in Ithaca that's helping welcome those who are fleeing oppression.
They need community, so we sort of have a built-in community, at least for our families who have small children, where parents can meet each other, the children can meet each other.
From the National Immigration Forum, I'm Ali Nirani, and this is Only in America. So think about it. If you've ever planned to move, do you remember what you hoped for or pictured your new home feeling like? If you were a refugee, would you hope for a small city in upstate New York that's known for its frigid winters, college vibe, and, unique culture of welcome? Well, that's Ithaca, New York. And it sounds kind of nice, doesn't it? Ithaca Welcomes Refugees got started in 2015 in response to the Syrian refugee crisis as a group of volunteers came together to help. One of those volunteers was Casey Verderosa, and now, as their executive director of Ithaca Welcomes Refugees, Casey still remembers her first experience helping a family resettle in Ithaca.
It was a family with children, 3 children. We worked with them to, the typical sort of immediate needs. All the kids needed snow pants. We held a donation to a drive to obtain snow pants. We signed people up for doctor's appointments and arranged for transportation to get to doctor's appointments. And they were very lucky to have family that already lived in Ithaca, who was also able to provide a lot of the support that they needed. But we were really there to fill in the gaps and happy to be there to help.
Since it started, IWR has settled dozens of refugees in the city from Myanmar, Colombia, Nicaragua, and beyond.
We're just finding ourselves sort of trying to fill in the role more so of a resettlement agency, even though we are still not a resettlement agency, and trying to help the agency in Syracuse from afar. We're dealing with housing more, and that's a huge challenge. Ithaca, like very many other liberal cities, is a very welcoming place towards refugees and really wants to support people to come here. But we also, like a lot of these other places, have a really unaffordable housing market. We've served 16 families and 15 individuals. When people arrive here, we first address their immediate needs, like readying new living spaces, stocking furniture in a new apartment, groceries. We also provide, like I said, more long-term support to try to get people self-sufficient, so that they can eventually graduate from Ithaca Welcomes Refugees. We help them enroll in English classes if that's needed. We help them find employment, help them do things like opening a bank account.
More recently, like communities across the country, they've seen an increased need around the resettlement of Afghan allies.
One of our families has 21 relatives in Afghanistan who were not able to make it out during the August kind of chaotic weeks of the last week of the U.S. withdrawal. And we have helped them to raise funds for their humanitarian parole applications to be able to enter the United States. They cost $575 a person, and we had 21 people we were trying to raise funds to bring over. And they've done work for the U.S. government, so are specifically targets for Taliban reprisals. And people in our community showed up in a really big way. We surpassed our $12,000 fundraising goal in 48 hours, which for a city our size and for an organization our size was really big for us. So there's a lot of support here in Ithaca for welcoming refugees.
This is not the first time the city has stepped up to help refugees call Ithaca home. The city housed one of the first Tibetan resettlement communities in the United States, established in 1992.
Ithaca has a decades-long history of welcoming refugees, particularly from Southeast Asia. And I think that I mean, and this is just sort of me guessing, universities tend to, I think, attract, multicultural events and studies and departments. And I would guess that just seems to be an attractive environment for people to come here, and also lends itself to a population that is, willing to experience new people with new backgrounds.
With a growing refugee population that they're serving, they saw a growing need for affordable childcare. But affordability wasn't the only question. It also needed to be childcare that kept in mind the trauma that these families have endured. So in 2017, IWR started their Global Roots Play School.
They need community. So we sort of have a built-in community, at least for our families who have small children, where parents can meet each other, the children can meet each other. There are so many different cultures. Different languages have been adopted between each school year that sort of emerges the dominant language. And it's not always English. One year it was Spanish that most of the children were speaking with each other. And we've served 60 children so far in our Global Roots Play School. The population that we work with is different from a lot of other childcare operations, and we practice trauma-informed care. And you can't really just expect a parent to just drop off their child at the door and say goodbye when they've been through trauma.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, the school has been closed for the time being. Casey and her team are working to find ways to reopen safely. And also for 2022, Casey says that Ithaca Welcomes Refugees wants to continue welcoming refugee and asylum seekers to the city.
I think we need to have a resettlement agency again in Ithaca, whether we become one ourselves or, we work with community partners who are willing to do that. I think that would be essential, I think, for the continuation of IWR. I'd like to see more refugees arrive here, and I'd like to see us make a lot of headway on the housing situation, because if people can't afford to live here, it doesn't make sense for us to try to attract them to come here. But I do think that is solvable. I just think it's going to take a different way of looking at things.
Casey Verderosa is the executive director of Ithaca Welcomes Refugees. You can learn more about their work on our website, immigrationforum.org/podcast. And if you like what you hear, subscribe to Only in America wherever you're listening to this episode. Only in America is produced and edited by Katie Lutz, Joanna Taylor, and Becca Wall. Our artwork and graphics are designed by Carla Leha. Me, I'm Ali Nirani, and I will talk to you next week.
Support for the National Immigration Forum comes from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, supporting innovations in education, democratic engagement, and strengthening international peace and security. And from Humanity United. When humanity is united, we can bring a powerful force for human dignity.